Okay. Um, I had plans to record earlier. Those plans fell apart. Had a pretty decent league start. Like the we got into tier 5 maps in like 14 hours, I want to say. Which is really good for us. I normally level with a buddy of mine. He played Guardian, which face rolled, and I had some pretty rough growing pains when I started working on my character. Um, Couple of planning issues that I ran into. We'll be going over all of those, so hopefully it can save you some pain and suffering in the future. So right now we are finishing up yellow maps, and we're in decent shape. Right, we have about 5,000-ish life plus energy shields. Our resists are capped. Not our chaos resist, unfortunately. I like to get there. And the character overall is pretty comfortable to play. So let's go through the details on how things are working. So first things first, one of the challenges that we early on encountered was the mana cost on Stormburst. At the end of maps, I just hadn't been paying attention to it. The mana cost was like 16 or 18, and there was just no way for me to afford it. So it became very frustrating because if you are channeling Stormburst, but you do not create a ball, you're still spending mana. So you can get into this pattern where you're just, you're always out of mana, but you're never doing damage. And this is something to be aware of with Stormburst. That's kind of unique about it. Right now, we have significant reduced cost of skills. So for instance, if I have a Malevolence and my flasks are active, then I think this is going to about 50 mana. And this is a Malevolent which has the blessing associated to it. 40 mana, my bad. So we're almost capped, and our skills are almost free, which is why we started leveling up Stormburst again. Using a level 1 Stormburst is great, but if your skills are free, there's no reason not to use a higher level Stormburst. Vortex. Our Vortex link is the thing that just made this character feel amazing. The amount of defensive capability we got out of the Vortex link is amazing. We are, if I look at our inventory, oh, flashbang, there's our Vortex. Our Vortex stays around for a very long time. And our Vortex is a level 18 Vortex at this point. Unbound ailments, increased area of effect, and elemental proliferation. So what we're doing with this Vortex is we're really using it as a way to make ourselves more safe. Our Vortex has a duration of... what's our basic duration right now? 7, almost 8 seconds. If we turn on, or 8.5 seconds if we turn on our aura. Our aura stays up for 28 seconds, so that's also pretty convenient. And we have a durational Stormburst of 4.6 seconds, which is fantastic. Got a Void Sphere, and we have some skeletons. Again, this is like defensive options, just to eat hits. Culling Strike, Maim to slow things down, and then we have Hinder to slow things down. Right, so there's a lot of just making things more comfortable by slowing things down. I'm a dash gamer. Can be another movement skill. Vortex really made a huge difference. Vaal Arc. So we have a Vaal Arc. Level 20 Vaal Arc. And we get +2 levels from the ring. We have +2 levels of Sacred Vaal Gems. You always get this on Triumphant Authority. We have 150% more damage. We have 30% reduced soul gain prevention duration, and we have socketed Vaal skills ignore enemy monsters' resistances. I'm not sure that that was a good mod to get, because what I'm running into is that too many things die to the Vaal Arc directly. They don't die to the decay that's being inflicted by the Vaal Arc. And that is making it a little bit more clunky than it has to be. Our cast time is half a second. Our soul gain prevention is 1.4 seconds. Right, so we really need the soul gain prevention starts as soon as you start casting. Right, so that the 0.46 seconds or 0.4 seconds, if once my buffs are active, that goes away, which means you have 1 second where your Vaal Arc is doing damage with decay, but the souls are prevented from being gained. If we didn't ignore enemy resistances, we might be getting more mileage out of the decay killing things a little bit slower. But I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty convenient to just blow things up. Alright, mana. So we have some mana issues. And the Pathfinder way of solving mana issues is you get a mod for 25% reduced mana cost of skills during effect. There's people selling these mods, not a lot. I think this cost me 30 chaos because I just wanted to get the build working. And this was day 4 30 chaos, not like a day 1 30 chaos. 6 link, dropped on the floor. On our home, you can get a near perfect roll of this, and it's 20% reduced mana cost of skills. So between our flask, which is affected by flask effect, and on our home, that is 45% reduced, some jewels, some passives, and we are around 90-ish% reduced, maybe a little bit higher. Which is great. Wands are probably the weak part right now. We have a Maelstrom Cry Convoking Wand. Buying Chaos.multi on Fractured on a Convoking Wand is super cheap. So take this, slap a minion essence on it, and walk away. This guy, we slapped a different essence on it to get the 700 chaos damage per second inflict decay. This allows us to effectively link decay into our Vaal Arc in the Triumphant Authority. This clears large, massive, screens away. And then we have our Stormburst, which is murdering everything up close. Next thing, I was planning to use a different skill for inflecting Withered. But then when I started using Stormburst, I realized that Stormburst, after a little bit of time, hits a lot. So right now we are hitting in this area 125 times a second, thereabouts. Now it takes a little bit to ramp up. By my best estimation, I need to get to about 14 stacks. If I see 14, then I should be at the point where I probably have 100 hits on target. And that means I had 100 potential hits, of which I assume 60 are on target, which means I should be at maximum decay stacks. And that takes a little bit of time, but not super long. So that's working well. I forgot about the remove 10% of life recovered from mana when used. This is an important mod if you want to have your life flasks be activated whenever you want. And because even at full life, it allows you to trigger this life flasks, which is nice. We use the MTX so we don't have to pay attention to the stupid little bar down in the corner here. And we can just see the green somewhere on the screen, and as far as I can tell, there's no enemy abilities that look like this. Other gear, Reduce mana cost of skill, 7% on the amulet. We have random ring, ground boots. I think this came from the Act belt. It's a fantastic belt. And then we got 2 fractured convoking wands, and we got a demon stitcher gloves. So I'm kind of looking for ways to take more of my life damaged, so I don't have, you know, that regeneration from my flask go to waste, right? Because we are using the combination of Sorrow of the Divine with the the ascendancy point that allows you to have your life flasks effectively become enduring, and this effectively doubles up the total because you get it applied to both your life and your energy shield. So yes, you only get 2000-ish life over 3.5 seconds. Now, because we are using the Sorrow of the Divine, we get 2000 life over 3.5 seconds and 2000 energy shields over 3.5 seconds. So we're kind of trying to use the Cirrus belt without the Cirrus belt, right? We're trying to take some of our damage on life, not too much, and then energy shield takes most of the hits. We also use the mastery point that makes chaos damage hit our energy shield about 30%, which should mean that we can maximize our regeneration against chaos damage as well. Or well, not regeneration, the flask healing. Other notable things. Let's take a look at the passive tree, because there were definitely some changes that happened. So, this cluster was great while leveling. You know, Blood Siphon, fantastic, fixes some strength, 10 max life, 10 life per enemy killed. We're getting lots of ways to recover life from that. Coordination is super useful for the cast speed, and then we use Entropy for the increased skill effectuation. Skill effectuation is what we're using for Storm Burst, and this is what makes our decays do massive damage. We have Wasting. I don't think there's anything worthwhile on Chaos Mastery. Yeah, I don't think there's anything worthwhile in Chaos Mastery. Jewels, reduced mana cost of skills, cast speed. Cast speed is great when you don't have to pay the cost. There's no evasion mastery allocated. There might be some opportunities here. We are using the remove a random non-elemental ailment when you use a life flask. This, because we already removed poison, is probably going to be bleeds or corrupting bloods. So helps with that. Exceptional performance, and then Sentinel, it's just 10 all res, and armor and evasion is nice. Over here we have 30% of chaos damage does not bypass energy shields, it's fantastic. More skill effectuation, reduce mana cost of skills, reduce mana cost of skills. And then we're using Spiritual Aid. This allows us to get all of our minion damage to affect Decay. Scaling Decay is hell, so you cheat where you can. Enduring Bond is okay. 20% skill effectuation is good. 30% increased damage if you used the minion skill recently. In reality, I'm just too lazy to hit the button. So yeah, thing is what it is. Quick recovery, it's life effectively, right? And some mana regen. Probably can pick other wheels, but it's convenient life, so yeah, it's fine. Reduced mana cost 5%, and then 9% cast speed for the place that matters. Reduce mana cost for 5%, 8% all res, and 5% cast speed. So those are the 3 jewels. Nothing super expensive. My most expensive item by far is buying this Brewer's Jade Flask of the Order, which is somebody unveil of slap the craft on it. So yeah, that's where my money went. Everything else is pretty cheap. Anyway, so let's take a look what this looks like when we go to a map. Don't have ailment immunity yet. There's still a bunch of things to solve. But we're at the point where, you know, tier 10 maps are fine. I'm mostly broke. Okay, so 2 rogue exiles, probably fine. Boss. Increase accuracy is chance to poison, impale, bleed. Or a chance to avoid, we don't care about that. We have less area of effect, which you don't really care. So this is mostly free mods. We do pretty weird damage, and that is really helping us out with our ability to sidestep a number of mods. Alright, everything's good. So we set this up, we get our souls going, we find some dudes, and maps are important. The biggest issue that we're running into right now is that my flasks are not automated, so I'm overusing my flasks because I don't want to really pay the attention to whether or not my flasks need to be reset or not. So that is costing me more flask charges than it should, and that is making life a little bit more difficult as well. Now we can show one of the nice things that we encountered with this build. And that is that we have a really nice time dealing with farming the expeditions. I think they're called expeditions. Okay, so physical damage you don't care about. Really the only thing we're looking for is this one. Monsters immune to chaos damage. That is the only mod that really matters. So we need to place our explosives in a way that we don't accidentally murder ourselves with that. Another thing to keep in mind is that when you're just holding down the button, right? If you do that, I think this is safe. Then you have to keep in mind that you are gonna run into some serious issues. Okay. So we just launched that in there. We blew up the entire space. We can run over there again, throw in a few more Vaal Arcs. And most of the pack took some damage. No, not everything. Alright. And yeah, farming these guys is not nearly as bad. We don't care about block. We don't care about all of these different abilities. Definitely bitted a few times dealing with these guys, but overall I'm mostly super happy with how well it is at coping with this content. With the absolutely minimum interruption. One of the biggest issues I had with the old expedition was just the interruption to gameplay and the FOMO. I built my character to minimize the FOMO in my life, so I like my chests to be corrupted, so I don't have to worry about rolling them. You can't roll them anyway. And I set up my maps to maximize, you know, mobs. So I don't really put in any nodes to get more maps. I just plan on more mobs, and I figure there's probably enough maps showing up sooner or later. Let's see if I'm gonna regret that. So this is an example where you actually want to spend a little bit of time on a mob. And this is a very easy way to put up a lot of decay stacks and everything else. And they're just slow. I mean, this is a relatively slow mob to begin with, but we slow mobs down quite drastically. And you can also see that like the entire ground ends up being covered in vortexes. It's pretty much cancer from a visual perspective, but hey, that's peak POE, right? Oh, come on. Did I click the button? Nope. There we go. Other noteworthy things that we encountered. Whew. I don't know what these yellow circles do. I imagine they're bad for me. Vaal side areas. Not worth it. Holy shit. There's just some Vaal side areas I stare at and go like... I mean, Vaal side areas are normally my catnip, but I can't justify the mods that you see on some of these things. Yeah, it's like quad damage and more life and everything else, and you're like, what? Yeah, probably should have something on there that at least displays the quantity multipliers that you're getting, but without something to tease it, it's not worth it. And we're not at a point where you can really do Vaal side areas without reading the mods, so that also interrupts the gameplay quite a bit. Ooh, I got stunned under my Vaal Arc. That is some sadness right there. This is also where, you know, you see the benefit of the vortex. The vortex just slows everything that's chasing you down so drastically that you're just don't really have to worry about it, which is fantastic. And without vortex, I would have died there, right? Like just a little bit more time makes a big difference. Send this in here. Is that worth it? Hey. Alright, we'll go chat with them in a second. Ooh. Alright. We got enough souls yet? No, not yet. Almost. And then we can pop that in. So our Vaal Arcs, like even without like just the 6 linking Vaal Arcs, we still have a lot of that benefit where we do have quite the Legion guys that we were able to wake up. This is of course not a great map for it, but still pretty good. We don't have the chaining range. I really thought I was going to need chaining range to make this feel good. Turns out I don't. Which I'm fine with. Okay. So yeah, this is right now early league 50 chaos worth of gear. So not a whole lot. Not like day 1 50 chaos, but like, you know, day 4 50 chaos. Actually the 6 link might be more expensive, but if you don't have a 6 link, I don't think it's that big a deal. It's not like it's a massive amount of damage. Like if you want a massive amount of damage, you remember to actually, you know, use your hours, which I'm being bad at. Doom 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 doom. And yeah, the reason that you see like just on occasion these monsters freeze well outside of the range of the vortex is because vortex hit a bunch of stuff. Vortex itself has a chance to freeze, and probably worth it. Alright. Boss damage. This is probably the most comfy bosser that I've played. You can just focus on running away. As soon as you get up your wither stacks, the wither stacks last forever. Like 4 seconds or longer. Actually, no, it's probably longer than that. Probably like 5 or 6 seconds for wither stacks. So yeah, it's just once in a while you stack up the wither. Your decay lasts for 20-30 seconds. So once it's on there, it's on there. To get a maximum damage decay, you want to do this. Right? You just want a little bit of these pops. If you want to stack up, you do this. So ideally, if you can preload, right? If you know the boss is gonna spawn here and they're not active yet, you can preload and they pretty much immediately have max wither stacks, right? And then you let it go and you're done. So I'm looking forward to doing my last lab because that is like peak preloading capabilities. As soon as he's hittable, you just let go and he's got a max stacks of wither and decay and everything else going at once, which is nice. Malevolence, pretty decent damage over time multiplier. Didn't really use it much during the maps. Some skeletons, it's not worth it most of the time. And overall, this is a fantastic yellow mapper at this point. And now it is gonna be like tweaking the gear, figuring out, you know, the rest of the build, adding a couple more levels, and start to see what red maps are gonna start looking like. But so far, this is it's pretty good. Definitely want to mess with the auras and the way it's set up. I think I'm probably gonna go with some different options. My flash need to be rerolled. Cast speed isn't worth it. Not sure if I'm gonna keep the Quicksilver Flask. Quicksilver Flask is nice because if you have, it just gave me some extra cast speed right now. So right now I've got like 33% cast speed out of my flasks. But in the long run, it's probably not worth it. Once my skills are totally free, we don't need to have this 10% of mana unreserved, so we can optimize things there. And then right now what we're running is Grace, because it's just nice to hit hitless. Discipline, Vitality, so those are our 3 auras. I'll probably change it up a little bit, probably drop the Vitality. And like our Grace is reserving 40%. If we reduce this, we have 33%-ish of mana unreserved. So we could probably do Grace and Discipline. We use both of them, which would be decent. It would help out quite a bit with just being a little bit more tanky. And yeah, the only other risk is I think this might kill you because of the slave drivers. I have experience, don't really feel like testing that. But in general, it shouldn't be an issue. So, pretty good league start. Actually really happy with how the character is performing. Really happy at the amount of attention I have to pay to my maps and my mods and everything else. And then my atlas that I'm using is lots of expedition chance. We're really maxing out expedition chance, legion chance, breach chance. So to find like an expedition, a legion, and a breach in a map is normal almost. Gonna respec out of the Vaal side areas that just the mods are unruly. Corrupted Gaze, because I'm gonna chase down the abyss, I want the chance of something amazing. Tamper Proof, because I don't like FOMO. And this way there's no FOMO. That Diviner's box, it's corrupted. You don't have to decide what is good enough and spend currency and all that stuff. I have Invasion because once you get to the map with all the 10 breaches, it is hilarious. I mean, you're gonna spend some time there. And I'm probably gonna go pick up Buried Knowledge because I think I'm gonna have a good time with logbooks too. Like the bypassing the ward mechanic is awesome. Only doing chaos damage is awesome. Not caring about block is awesome. There's just all of these different abilities that I don't have to worry about, and I can just look for chaos damage and slap down my giant explosive and let it rip. Which again, like just the lack of FOMO of interacting with Expedition is fantastic. I love this keystone. Before this, I would block Expedition every time because you just spent all your time fiddling, putting down the explosions and figuring out is this the best thing or not the best thing. And now it's just like, nope, I'm just gonna drop it in there and play it like a Legion. And it works great. So yeah, probably just gonna keep jamming more content into my maps. Whether it's, all the stuff on the side, getting rid of rogue markers because I'm never gonna do it. Metamorphs, although I think this build might be able to do it. It's having a pretty easy time dealing with some of the bosses and everything else. Like when you just put up all your damage, it stacks up pretty fast. Fungal Emission, there's no way in hell I'm gonna do a Blight. And yeah, I'm not doing Ritual Altars either. I just want to be able to run away. Like, I can run away for 20 seconds and the damage is still there. So, sometimes that's necessary, but not very often. So yeah, super happy with where I'm at. Definitely was frustrated as hell at some parts. So things that really broke me up early on, not leaving Stormburst at level 1. Like the mana cost just goes nuts. Dinking around with another way to apply Wither versus just having Stormburst to apply Wither. Stormburst is fantastic at applying Wither if you're a Pathfinder. Vortex, the defensive Vortex setup, fantastic. And then, like, even if you don't have the Vaal Arc, I mean, if you can have a Vaal Arc, you want a Vaal Arc. But even if you 4-link the Vaal Arc, it's similar results. And this build is very loose on the sockets. Like, you can, have items without sockets. And it wouldn't be a big deal. Like, I never use my 4-link skeletons. That's a 4-link I never used there. I think I put up the Void Sphere twice, which is still worth it. Probably popped Malevolence once or twice. Despair, of course, is worth it. And Despair is another one of those things, a duration of 30 seconds. It's fine. Like, you can just tag something and come back after 30 seconds after you've done some other parts of the map and reapply some dots and go do some other things if there's something that's truly hairy and you want to kill it. Links. So we covered Vortex, which is the more interesting one. Vortex, Unbound Ailments, Increased Area of Effect, and Elemental Proliferation. This 4-link setup from a defensive skill is absolutely fantastic. Increased Duration is, I think, your best support with Stormburst because you want that duration to be high, because that allows you to get a massive multiplier on your Decay. We have a level 21 Decay. You pretty much need to be level 21 for it to be worth to use a Decay gem instead of a convening one, because this is 700 damage, this is 900 damage, so it's like a 30% more. If you can get a 30% more gem, then you can just do that, like life tap or something like that. Efficacy, fantastic, more damage over time, increased skill facturation, another fantastic link. Infused channeling, 24% more damage with some side benefits. Yeah, side benefits, best way to describe it. Void manipulation, we don't do elemental damage. We don't care about that, we just want 34% more chaos damage. Void manipulation could be something else. Infused channeling could be something else. You just have to make sure that you're looking for a more multiplier that does damage over time, chaos damage. Like not something that says attack damage or spell damage or any of that stuff. It's not gonna work with Decay. Divine Blessing with Malevolence. Got a Grace level 20, oh, level 16. Yeah, I accidentally 20 quality this thing, I believe. Oh no, I've tried to Vaal it and ended up with a Vaal Grace. That was the problem. Oops. Oh well, I'll level another one up. Vitality, increased duration, blind, and void sphere. Again, another defensive tool in the toolbox. Summon skeleton, minion speed, culling strike, and maim. More defensive tools in the toolbox. Dash, despair, discipline. I think that rounds it out. Yeah, a little bit disorganized, but overall, I think this is doing great in yellow maps. Weak points of the build right now are... these gloves are actually really good for my build because I can... The sacrificing life to gain energy shield means that I can lose life, get more energy shield, and then my life flask will recover life as well, right? It's doing that anyway, so sacrificing life to gain energy shield is fantastic. 120 life, 120 maximum energy shield is fantastic. Yes, I know I can quality this. I'm poor. I mean, this belt is great, but it's not like red map amazing. This thing is not red map amazing. I think I probably can ditch some of the resists. Cold resist 85, yeah, 80s. So probably could change this to cold chaos, help with my chaos resistance a bit. This thing, I mean, it's an expensive essence, and I got pretty unlucky with the 23% increased damage on minions, so I couldn't craft minion damage, but I was able to craft the increased damage over time. But again, like some resists, it's a pretty low bar on these guys. Although the resists definitely make gearing easy. Chest, essence. We have life on here, we have cold resist, and we have crafted increased energy shield. That's our 3 mods on the chest. We have strength. I think we need some strength. Pretty much we don't have a lot of wiggle room there. You need 93 strengths, 116 strengths, the highest, I think. Yep. So, is that true? Yeah. So we don't even need the strength on this. 5 energy shield is nothing. 37 mana is nothing. So this is 31 lightning resist, of which we need most of that. Some cold resist, some lightning resist. So this is 2 mods, and I'm being generous. So this ring can definitely be a whole lot better. So ring, belt, recraft the minion once. Probably will keep this guy. 47 maximum energy shield is fine. We have the 15 all res, 24 fire res, 7% reduced cost of skills, which comes with the 52% maximum mana. And right now I have some decks on here because I needed it. But yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this thing is working. So we'll see where we're at. Right now the damage in POB puts me at like 22k. Think it's probably higher, especially when you can relatively reasonably actually ramp up against bosses, especially bosses which take a little bit of time to get going and spawn. Oh, there's one more piece of tech to talk about. So Oh, I don't have that yet. I will be taking 25% chance to gain a flask charge when you deal a critical strike. Which might seem weird because, I mean, I don't really deal critical strikes, but I hit so damn often with this storm burst, right? When this thing is fully going, which, you know, quite often it will not be, but maximum right now is like 26 of these guys. One moment. Ooh, we can get 28 of them. So that means that I hit 28 of these hits every 0.16 seconds. Odds are out of 28, I probably hit once, right? I mean, my chance to crit is, I assume, 5%. But that still means that I crit plenty of times. So this is like 5 charges a second for flasks while channeling. Might be worth it, might not be. We'll see. For right now, the character's working great. I want to craft my flasks, automate my flasks, have more fingers left to use on my other skills. And yeah, do that. It's pretty good so far. Although that was after we cleaned up some of the bumps.